What's going on? My name is Tom, and I'm not technically a Pokemon investor, but I've got a hot take on how you should be spending your money while Pokemon investing. Once again, not an investor. However, I'm a collector. I sell a few cards on eBay as well, so I'd be a fool if I didn't say that I cared about my value going up. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, in this hot take, Sword and Shield, the ship has sailed. It's done. 95% of the things out there that are Sword and Shield related, the ship has sailed. It's gone. That means graded cards, singles, and even sealed product. I mean, the markups are just insane compared to about 3 months ago. Chilling Reign was sitting at MSRP and now it's 100 over. You know, like that's just kind of insane. You look at a lot of the alt arts, the VMAX secret rares especially, you know, that time is sort of past. Umbreon literally doubled in price within a month. So I'm not going to be focusing on Sword and Shield. I think a majority of those investments are quote unquote dead. Not all of them. If you want to know which ones I'm going to be picking up, you know, with the few amount of collection dollars that I have left, leave a comment. I'll happily make a video. But let's get started on cards. This is specifically cards that I think are actually good investments or that they'll take a little bit of growth over the years. Starting out with the Gardevoir EX. Now, this is mad controversial. Scarlet and Violet base, one of the most printed sets of all time. However, this is a Gardevoir. It's a fan favorite. It's a special illustration rare. You know, you get 2 out of these in every box, you know, so if you get the Gardevoir, you're kind of lucky. And it's literally only at like $22, $25. Like, that's so affordable. Like, even if you're not really investing, just pick that thing up for 20 bucks. That's kind of a steal. And the argument is with the full set Scarlet and Violet that it's one of the most printed sets of all time. It's when the Pokemon company acquired a few new printing facilities and really started to ramp up production. I mean, you still see these ETBs in Target everywhere, but the box is still at like $85 for a card that's $22. I mean, I see both of them going up in the long term, maybe in a little bit, but once again, a $20 Gardevoir, kind of hard to pass up. Now, I understand it's pretty easy to pull that Gardevoir. 2 special illustration rares every booster box. Let me show you something else that I think is a little bit harder to hit. Now, we're going to be talking about the Roaring Moon EX, which is now like hovering around $55. It started out as like a $90 card. And you see here on TCG Player, the price went up and down and up and down. And in all honesty, I think in the long run, it's going to go way back to up over $100 because this set is different than Scarlet and Violet base. It's probably around 1 special illustration rare per booster box, which makes it a lot harder to pull than the Gardevoir. Now, this is the most expensive card in the set, and that's kind of shocking to me. This is like a $100 booster box with a $55 card. I do think that this is a time to buy now. People are just worried about the Sword and Shield alt arts. Nobody's paying attention to these EXs and Scarlet and Violet era, but I promise you this won't have the overprinting issues that, you know, the Gardevoir or Scarlet and Violet base has. This is harder to hit, number 1, and number 2, Paradox Rift is just not, at least in what I've seen in the stores and what seems to be the case, is that Paradox Rift is not as printed of a set. And I mean, look, you still get a booster box for $100, and this will probably get reprinted as well, along with Scarlet and Violet base, which honestly, either buying it now or buying it after a reprint would be ideal. Maybe you save another 10% off that card. But I mean, there's an argument here that the harder to pull like a card like Roaring Moon or the Iron Valiant, which is like $25, you know, like those should be steals because they're harder to pull. And to be honest, cards that are easier to pull still have been blowing up in price. Let me show you an example from Sword and Shield. This is the Arceus All Art from Brilliant Stars, and it is one of the first first alternate arts that were featured in a set with the best pull rates of all time. We're talking about the Trainer Gallery, the once again, the 4 all arts of Arceus, Charizard, Lumineon, and Honchkrow. And this card has shot up over the past 3 months, probably from like a $25, $30 card to now over a $50 card. And this is the argument that it was a lot easier to pull than like what you would find in Paradox Rift or even Temporal Forces. Hard to hit. This is the easier set, and it's still going up in price. You see it with the Dialga, once again, a huge price increase in a set that's much easier to hit on compared to Paradox Rift. So I think the Roaring Moon is kind of a buy. I think that these guys, the ship has sailed. I was lucky to pull them when I was opening Astral and Brilliant, lucky enough. And once again, the Palkia here. So it just goes to show that I think the rarity and the, I guess, hardness, difficulty of a pull will really impact the card's price, because I think that Roaring Moon is undervalued. And there's a reason why that Charizard EX from Obsidian Flames, you get like one of those every 2 boxes, a special illustration rare. So there's a reason why I think that's taken such a dip, but I think that the market is kind of sleeping on Roaring Moon. Now, I don't think it's going to go up in like a year, maybe 2 years, but once Scarlet and Violet starts to go out of rotation, I understand this is really long term, but I think it's just an undervalued card, like at the end of the day. And so moving on from these legendary Pokemon, obviously the Sinnoh legendaries, and kind of segues into another group of cards that I'm going to be picking up. I actually pulled one recently, which I was super happy about. And these are the special illustration rares of like Raikou, Suicune, and Entei, obviously in their Paradox form. So I would probably wait to pick one of these up, but I actually pulled the Raging Bolt, luckily, and it's sitting at like a $57 card, and I think this will probably dip a little bit more just as more and more gets printed. Obviously, there's there's a chance for a reprint, which could, knock 5, 10, 20% off this card. But once again, while people are like going after those Sword and Shield all arts, like you saw in the Arceus Dialga Palkia, the fact that there's a price dip for this means that there's an opportunity. I think this is, an undervalued card, and I think it'll have the same trajectory as those legendaries, just like the Sinnoh legendaries, these Johto legendaries, I think they'll hold up good value. Moving on, we got the Gouging Fire as well. Once again, it's taken a huge price dip, and this set has only been out for, a handful of weeks, so there's not a whole lot of data. And at this time, the Twilight Masquerade set's coming out, so I would be waiting for this card to dip a little bit and then, buying it up. I think it'll follow a very similar path that some of those, Creation Trio all arts, the Arceus, Dialga, Palkia have had in the past few weeks. Obviously, it'll take a lot of time, and once it does, I think it'll have a great trajectory, but this will take a while. Now, the Walking Wake, and this one's really dipped to under $30, and I think that's just an absolute steal for a special illustration rare. You saw that with like the Dialga was like a $25 card, the Arceus is a $25 card, and now it's like doubled. So once again, maybe not ASAP, not buying this right away, but I would be watching all of these Scarlet and Violet era cards, because while other people are super obsessed with the Sword and Shield, I myself, I'm kind of bummed that I missed out on a few of those cards, like the Lugia or the Charizard I missed out on. Obviously, a lot of the VMAX secret rares. But while other people are focused on that, I would focus on these things that are a lot cheaper. Like, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think the people that made the most wins in this all art spike saw opportunity a few months ago, and I think this is where the next opportunity is going to lie. I think that Paradox Rift, Temporal Forces as boxes are going to do really well, but these single cards, I would not sleep on them. I would maybe wait for them to go down a little bit more, but while other people have their eyes on Sword and Shield, I got my eyes set on Scarlet and Violet. So if you want any more, videos like this, just talking, once again, I'm not really investing, but you're kind of a fool if you don't want your collection to, up itself in price. Like, I would be a fool if I didn't say I wanted my collection to grow. Say, something happens, life gets hard, I got to sell some stuff. I would be really happy if that $100 Paradox Rift box turned into a $150 box instead of a $85 box. So these are the kind of plays I'm making. I did actually pull the Raging Bolt, which was super exciting. Pretty much it. That was just a few thoughts I had, a few cards I wanted to say that I like. I just like them. I think they'll do well. And yeah, subscribe for more.